Right, our final category of our first show. It's best looking game. The winners 2015, The Order 1886. I still laugh at that one. We weren't incorrect, but it's just very funny that that won anything.
I just think like
2016.
the only time anyone ever mentions the Order 1886 in public is the once a year it gets a shout out in our best looking
Yeah,
game category.
yeah. I mean, thing looked good as
It
shit.
was
What can I
fucking
say?
class to look at.
Yeah. 2016 joint winners Overwatch and Hyper Light Drifter. 2017 Cuphead. 2018 Dragonball FighterZ. And 2019 Sayonara Wild Hearts. A surprise winner for Manny last year. Our nominees for Best Looking Game 2020 are Paradise Killer, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Ghosts of Tsushima, Paper Mario the Origami King, Hades, Ghostrunner, The Last of Us Part 2, Spiritfairer, If Found, and Astro's Playroom. And we are shooting straight over to Marky Mark himself.
Spiritfairer has as mentioned earlier, it has Studio Ghibli elements in some of its kind of narrative design and themes, I guess, and it also has some of that in its visual style as well. But I mean, it's not that striking in the grand scheme of things. But I like some of the animation, some of the anthropomorphic characterization of some of the characters. But it doesn't stand out in any one particular area when it comes to visual style or presentation or technical direction. So I think it's I think it deserves to be on this list, but I don't think it goes any further than this.
I'm surprised it's going early, but I won't fight for it to win, so I'm not going to bother fighting for it. But yeah, some of the like little animations, like the cutting down the tree and stuff, they are really beautiful. But I would agree with you generally.
Okay, Spiritfarer is gone, and Barry, you're next.
All right, we were nice and lovely about Spiritfarer there, but I just have to say I don't think Ghostrunner is good looking at all.
I don't think it's bad looking, but I don't think it hangs remotely with 5 or 6 of these that are left on the list.
All I will say is it is the best cyberpunk game this year.
You are correct there. And hey, listen, on Series S, that is a beautiful 60 frames per second game.
Yes,
I'll give it that much.
it
is
certainly
very.
is.
Oh, it's crisp. I'll say that much.
It's basically if somebody took that scene from Endgame where he tracks down fucking Hawkeye and he's in his full like Ronin stage and he's like fucking slaying dudes in Japan, is what this game looks like to me. I haven't played it, but like when I was checking it out, that was what I saw. I don't know if you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, Ronin ass shit, man. I agree with that. It's like if Ronin was in Titanfall. It's basically what that is, and I'm down with that. Next up is me. This sucks. We're already running into trouble here. I guess I just got to go with, by virtue of the fact, one, I haven't played it, although I do trust the evaluation of the people nominating it, and the fact that I don't think it hangs with my faves, Astro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I still wanted to give it an all because this game looks fucking great, sir.
Oh yeah, I don't deny it, but like we have a very strong list this year as well.
I think also what's interesting about Astro, and I would say Ghostrunner as well, and Ghost of Tsushima, like people often make the distinction between performance and looks. Games look better when they run at 60 frames per second, and what makes Astro's Playroom so good is it's a really well designed, nice looking game with great art design, but it's just everything is flawless. There's tons of like physicsy objects in the game, balls you can kick around, all sort of stuff, and the game never falters once. And you've got all these beautiful post-processing effects that never hinder it once. And I think all in all, it's a really wonderful visual package. But yeah, in this unbelievable category, it should probably hit the bricks.
I fucking love the PlayStation Museum that you build out of all the things you collect in game.
Yes.
That is one of the coolest looking things from this year. Like, imagine being a tiny little, person who can explore like these giant monolithic PlayStation 2s and 3s and stuff, and you can interact with everything. You can jump on buttons, you can open disc trays, that's just so cool. I mean, it might be a bit self-referential for some people, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. And as I was playing a game I really enjoyed, a great platformer, it brought some nostalgia back, seeing some of these old things. Like I collected a pocket station. I was like, wow, the pocket station.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's like, and it's like, for as much as this category, not just like on this show, but in all of gaming, when you talk about best looking, you're kind of talking about your, like Ghost of Tsushima's beautiful vistas, huge fields of view. But like, it's also stuff like in Astro, when you unlock the DualShock 2 and you flip it over and you can just have insanely detailed, like you can see the copyright and the barcode on the back of it slightly raised the way it actually is on controllers. You can, when you interact with the PS1, for example, to pop open the disk drive, you can zoom in and it is just flawlessly rendered, the intricacies of what a disk tray looks like. Like it is quietly showing off the horsepower of the PS5 by just how bonkers it renders, like the ports on the back of these consoles. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Jack.
Oh no. I took like one look at this and I was like, oh, shit, because I probably would have settled for Astros to go here if I had to. Oh man, this is hard. I mean, because you've got some varying styles here. There is like
it comes down to like there's a couple of candidates here that are near photorealistic graphical fidelity, and then there are very strong artistic styles as well.
I am not the biggest fan of roguelike, so I'm gonna say Hades, and I'm really sorry, I'm gonna run away.
I mean, Hades is very impressive for like the amount of shit that can appear at any one time, and like just from a technical performance, like that game does not at any point show any signs of having any kind of issues, and it's just like the character designs. I feel like this and Paradise Killer, when we talk about kind of like character designs, they're the two that really we might discuss in depth. But all of the gods and their designs and just how they're brought to life with these still images, very similar to Paradise Killer. Like there's so much just like detail and
the frames I've seen of the game, of the characters, like the renderings and the drawings of them, they do look incredible. But like the gameplay and the way that looks, it is just like a roguelike to me. And I'm like,
and like all of the environments.
That's harsh, though.
No, I get it, and like all the environments, I think are really well designed, and there's like so much to look at any one time. But I guess I do think that in terms of style or direction, there are probably some other games that do stand out more. But I still, I do think though that Hades is gorgeous. I really think it's gorgeous. But I guess I'm not gonna fight so hard because looking at like everything else that's still on this list, even if I was to try and fight for this, it would probably end up coming back up again in one or two turns. So yeah.
Yeah, wise. Save the energy for the real fights, my friend. Mark, it's back to you.
Hard, right?
Right, okay. I'm curious to know, because I know what this game is and what it means in some aspects of it, but in terms of, like I just mentioned, the character design, I think the game is incredible, and I really do appreciate the brutalism in the overall design of Paradise, but I do think at points that game is a little bit lacking in some of the areas with the buildings. I think like the Dead Zone, even though it looks pretty nice, it's actually
fair.
It's a lot. There's not as much there as I thought there was going to be. Like they big up the Dead Zone to be something pretty fucking wild, and it's not really. It's like Ivan Ooze went in there, and but that's about it. So even though the character designs are fucking even better than Hades, which is why I would probably go Hades than Paradise Killer. Past that, I think really, I don't think it goes much further than this.
Can we just
I think
put over Dr. Doom Jazz's pink mohawk again?
yeah.
What a fucking haircut.
I think so Paradise Killer is, it was obviously best story. It's nominated in this category. It'll be nominated. It's nominated in best music as well. And I think if you peel off those three individual things to stand alone, the thing that holds up the least when taken away from the whole package is the look.
Yeah.
I think it does look great, and in certain ways, when you pile it in with the music and the story, the aesthetic of the world works great as part of this weird ass vaporwave detective story. But yeah, I will say, compared to what very suddenly became one of my leading contenders here, even, and what had been one of my two of my leading contenders for the whole rest of the year, I'm not going to fight it super hard if there isn't huge support for it in the room. So
yeah, like the thing about Paradise is I love that juxtaposition of this fully 3D rendered, somewhat open world. It's not the biggest map in the world, but it's an open world. And then these like 2D sprites that like drift around on their axis like South Park. I love that. I think it's so cool and different, and then and all their different portraits when they're in different moods, that's all great. It just feels like it's like a 1080p rendering of a PS2 game. When you're walking around,
like Second Life as well at points. I felt
if we were going on just the characters, it stays on the list.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Or even like I'm sure an awful lot of what we're talking about is kind of by design, because I think it's like it's a fake weird paradise, experiment world.
I think it's half artistic direction and possibly half like maybe
budgetary,
like an actual ability to do more with these buildings past what they are. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like also so much meticulous effort is put into everything else that maybe there was just nothing left in the tank. But yeah, I'm fine seeing it go at this point. Barry.
Okay, there's a game on here that I love, but I don't think we'll have too much of a dispute letting it go. Ori 2.
I think it looks really good.
It is, and I will say, because I'm gonna certainly when it comes to Game of the Year in particular, I never played the first one. So there's a wow factor with me for this game that's enhanced by the fact that this is my first Ori, and I loved it, and it is stunning, and it's like varied as well. I love how it's running the gamut of all the fantasy stuff. It's snowy peaks, it's bug-filled undergrounds, it's wispy deserts. I love the way it looks. It has literally come down to the fact I don't think it hangs with these others, and there's a smidge, probably more so for Dave than me, but there's also a factor of it looks like what I understood the first game to be, and it's lacking a little bit of that punch. That might be unfair, but that is literally, we're down to 5 incredible looking games.
Yeah, I agree with you there that I played the first one, like not I didn't like 100% the first one or anything like that, but I had it on my Xbox One, and that surprise factor is gone for me. So for me, it's a very refined, very polished looking version of the first one. I definitely think it deserves to be nominated. I definitely think it deserved to finish, mid to high table, but it's not. Even though I didn't play one of the games on this list, it is still my 5th of 5 on the list here if I ordered them.
It might be because I played a few hours of the first one, but I was playing that on my Switch, so potentially I went from playing the first one on my Switch to playing the second one on my PC. But
we played a little of it here when I got it as well.
Didn't we? That was that might as well have been a lifetime ago.
Fado.
But no, man, I'm not going to fight it because it's 2 against 1 here. But I think that the Will and the Wisp, I've been
let's take his lunch money.
We've been banging on for years about how we want another game with like the Ubisoft engine for like another Rayman game or whatever. But part of me thinks I'd rather have more games that look like this, or both would be great. Like some of the characters and their designs, the bosses, like the size and scale of them, and when
Shriek is an incredible looking.
Oh my god.
Villain.
but I don't really have a leg in this race, so I'm resigned to my fate. But I do think Will and the Wisp is fucking gorgeous, and if you've got that Series S, you really have no excuse.
Absolutely. When I finished, I was like,
great.
if you have any kind of Game Pass device, get this. What I love about Ori is that, like, when you do that Metroidvania thing of you get a new ability and there's a wow factor, like, oh, I can do this. It's like a double whammy of, wow, I can do this, and now I'm in this new area, and oh my god, it all looks so cool. When you get to that pink-leaved forest area for the first time, oh my god, it really is wonderful. It really is.
Right, so Ori is no Mori. And that's me next. Bollocks.
Yep.
It's 4 left here. Gonna make people real mad, one way or the other. So what we have is 2 very, like, visually stunning games in terms of realism with Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us 2, and we have 2 incredibly stylish artistic choice games in Paper Mario and the Origami King, and they found. So I'm going to have to pick which is my second favorite in one of the 2 categories, essentially. I kind of want to go Paper Mario.
Do I stab you now? Do I, stab you later? Yeah, I kind of felt that you might go Paper Mario. I'm gonna take a step back. I want to see. I don't know if I know Barry, you're the lone man on it. So Jack, I don't know what your thoughts on Paper Mario from like the actual visual perspective, because I know we've spoken a bit about like the story and stuff, but visually, what's your thoughts?
It was perfect for what I wanted it to look like. Like a real up generation Paper Mario. All of the emotions while playing it. The thing just, Nintendo just have this sheen when they get a game right. It just sort of shimmers, and like the texture of all the paper, and things just like bursting into confetti, and the streamers and everything. It's just done so well.
I never got tired of Mario throwing confetti into the air. Never got tired of that.
It just, the effect is fucking awesome, and yeah, it's probably, it might be my maybe my second or third favorite looking game I've ever played on the Switch, after like Breath of the Wild, and I maybe put it on par in terms of how much I love the way it looks with Odyssey, just because I think it's spot on. I see the other 3 here, and I kind of like that. If Found is so unique, it's so cool.
It's fucking stunning.
Like it's so brilliant. It's so well done. And the other 2, when I saw them, both of them, they just blew me away. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it's so harsh that this Paper Mario game ends up in here with games that are like this, because I look at some of the other winners, and like I love the way Sayonara Wild Hearts looked last year. I thought it's fucking just incredible. Like, but I put Paper Mario above it. Like I'd actually pick it over
I would as
Sayonara.
well. I probably would as well.
Yeah, yes.
I think I would. Yeah,
I think the only previous year Paper Mario wouldn't have won is Cuphead.
Yeah, I couldn't argue over Cuphead.
Yeah, I actually think that maybe Dragon Ball, but like
I'd probably go Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah.
And I would say,
Agent of Chaos.
even as the possible low man on Paper Mario overall, I mean, it is incredible. It is incredible looking. Why Nintendo has a monopoly on craft material graphics. They just look unbelievable in their games.
The best thing about that Yoshi's Woolly World game, how fucking great did that look? I mean,
unbelievable.
I didn't have enough passion for the game because it was quite bland.
It was a Yoshi game.
Yeah, but it looked like insane. So good.
But it's not just like that as well. I mean, because you've got like the 2D paper characters, but then you have the origami characters, and you've got the the merging of these 2D characters, these 3D characters, like the giant, they're not papier mache, but they're, I don't know what the fuck you'd call them, but the kind of bigger enemies that are almost like robotic, and like the contrast, just it works so well, and the game is so bright, but it's not like in a kind of oversaturated or over bloomy fucking Wind Waker HD type of way. I honestly, I'm not sure if I'm even ready to bring it off, because like, and
but look at the other
but
games.
here's the thing.
Man.
Here's the thing, right? And this is my thing, is that I will always take, like a strong art direction or a memorable art direction over like a technically impressive style. Like, I like Uncharted 4 a couple of years ago was incredible, but there was at least 3 or 4 things purely from like an art direction that I would take over it. And so because I can't even pick between Origami King and If Found, and I think that If Found, like that style and how that integrates with that game is unfucking believable. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I confidently, I don't think I can say that I would want Origami King off now. So I don't know,
but does it,
where that would lead us.
With there only being 4 left.
I guess my this is gonna hurt, but like if I was doing a top 3 from the ones left, the one that I'd actually leave out, and you guys are gonna fucking kill me, but it's probably Last of Us 2.
No.
Because of the 2 left that look photo incredibly realistic, it doesn't hang with Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima looks better.
Those 2 are a toss up for me, depending on what you're looking for. The one I absolutely won't tolerate leaving the list until the very end is If Found.
Yeah, because it's a truly unique style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
I can't decide between The Last of Us and Tsushima, which is why I went for Mario, because I know where I stand with If Found.
I'm going to counter all the Game Pass shilling for the last few months on this podcast by cashing my Jim Ryan check and saying
now please don't disparage Uncle Phil while you're here.
No. Although none of his games are still on this list, but
why isn't Pokemon Go nominated here? Honestly,
but for me, this category is down to Tsushima and Last of Us. As much as I love If Found, like Last of Us is probably a game, the only one that really comes to mind where like you can go side by side with like the shiny E3 trailer, like that first trailer where I don't think she even had a name yet, but that one where Abby's in the woods and she's being hung by by her neck, and there's like a flaming car in the background. Like that scene is basically untouched from the E3 demo to when it's in the game, and that like how could you look at that and if you looked at that and didn't know what it was and told me it was a native PS5 game, I would believe you. From the like when she gets the noose off her neck and there's this like subtle bruising around her neck and the individual like skin molecules and the rain, it's raining in the scene, and like it's not even just purely on a technical level, it's also there is artistic direction, because that scene in the game, it's then this incredible extended melee scene where you're fighting with like a hammer against a wave of infected in this like dark, very scary fucking Blair Witch woods lit by only by a flaming car and one character's torch. Like, Dave, when you think about like one visual of the game that represents its incredible art direction to me that's burned into my skull, it's like when you're Ellie and you're in these like incredibly violent waves riding towards like the Ferris wheel in the distance. And like that's the final stretch of Ellie's campaign before it switches, and she's been through hell and high water, and she's going through this incredibly conflicted story moment, and that's so incredibly represented by the visual offering of the game, where this, in true Naughty Dog fashion, you've been looking at this thing in the horizon for 10 hours, and now it's right in front of you, and you're crashing through these gorgeously realized waves with thunder crashing through the air. Like Last of Us is a really beautiful marriage of tech and art direction, I feel. Like, I think also about like the fight between Abby and Ellie in the abandoned theater is so wonderfully lit and atmospheric. And on Tsushima, which we haven't really talked about Ghost of Tsushima at all, except for that like one mission. I mean, to that same end, it is also endlessly gorgeous, but it's also not just a tech showpiece. They sculpted that game in such a way where it's like you are even when you're roaming around the world, it's a never-ending stream of incredible vistas. And
it's one of those games where it's so beautiful you feel bad for fast traveling.
Yes, absolutely. I barely ever fast travel. I go through that game 100%, like, partially because I'm looking for side quest stuff, but also because it's just, you never know when you're going to crest a hill, and it's like, this is the new greatest photo mode opportunity I've ever had in my life. It's just like rammed full of imagery, and like we were talking about with the Heavenly Strike mission, like the effort they went into sculpting that setting was remarkable, and it's just like sunbeams bouncing off like waving grass and stuff like that. Like, that's not just, let's do a demo to show off our console. It's like it plays beautifully into the overall style of the game. Like they are both incredible games. I kind of went into this thinking, I might surprise people and go for Tsushima over anything else. But Last of Us has been so hard done by so far that now I just feel like I can't let it go. But also I am, as I'm thinking back through that game, the visuals of it. But also, like, when you think about things like best looking, like the scenes of the most heady emotional weight, like the scene halfway through the story when you get the flashback where Joel finally admits to Ellie what actually happened at the hospital after lying at the end of the game, and several scenes in this game where he doubles down on the lie, and it's this big emotional climax, and it's like, it would not hit nearly as hard as it does hit if you didn't have this like remarkable facial tech where it's like they're emoting so sincerely in this like really beautiful scene where it's like slightly dusky. It's like not quite sundown, but they're in front of the hospital, and it's like almost like the golden hour, and the subtleties of, like, Ashley Johnson's performances are perfectly captured on that character model. And Joel has just this perfect hangdog, old beaten down dog look on his face where he just has to tell her the truth. It's just incredible, man. It is incredible. I
do not disagree with a word of it.
There's that. I think that's why I think Last of Us is so great, because it's not just the self-serious game. It's not just the bleeding edge tech game. It's the cohesive package of it all. And almost none of it would really work to that degree if it wasn't for that trademark Naughty Dog look. And in a roundabout way, and I'm definitely on an island on this, I'm kind of feeling like, look, I wouldn't vote for it. It would be between those two. And as much as I did genuinely love If Found, I don't even have I have no knocks against If Found. I have nothing I can say, well, I didn't like this, it didn't sit with me. It's just literally a case of the other two are more my bag. That's just it. And If Found, I thought was a beautiful thing, but it did not hit with me at the same level of those two. But that's my promo on the officially licensed PlayStation ad segment with my beautiful PlayStation 5 in the corner.
Jim's check is in the post.
Jim's check is in the post. I've done my duty, sir.
As is Neil Druckmann's, by the sound of it.
Yeah. Well, he won't return my calls.
Jack, if we could very quickly just get your thoughts on where we are at the moment, and then we'll try and figure out a way to sort this out.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a coward, but like any of these three winning is fine. I think Barry has just put in a stellar argument for Last of Us, and as somebody who's just looking outside in at gameplay and things like that, you don't get any of the nuance maybe that it like you're not noticing, having not gone through every single cutscene and only watch really the ones that are mainly essential to the story. But like how he describes Joel's body language and his expression and everything, I think like things like that maybe underrated by us in previous years in terms of like art direction and the way scenes are staged. So that definitely turned me around on that. But I mean, nothing has had a holy shit effect on me like when I saw what Ghost of Tsushima looked like. I saw trailer, I saw gameplay, I saw people, nothing's knocked me out like that for a long time where I'm like, yo, this is some next level shit. So in a way, Dave, I'm kind of almost prompting out a vote here, and I'm voting for Ghost of Tsushima. I'm throwing my chips in the table in terms of that. That's why I'm so disappointed that I didn't get to it, is because I really would probably be running my flagpole up the mast even harder and stronger and with more conviction now than I am already.
I don't want to hear you talk about your flagpole.
Yeah, it's way too late in this first show here for that.
Where do you stand on these three now, Mark?
I mean, you know, I've obviously not actually played either Tsushima or Last of Us, but you know, every single time I see anything from Tsushima, I am floored, and it's usually because there's a nice kind of vista in the background, and that always helps. And it's amazing as well. Like the incredible thing is, like, both these games are at least 6 months old, and we're looking at what Cyberpunk looks like on the base consoles at the moment, and you really even more so like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Like,
Do not sully this conversation of best looking with mentioning of the punk of cyber.
I really, you know, I will always take something that is visually unique and arresting and does something that maybe I've never seen before, or whatever the case may be. And I do think that, you know, even the diary entry scribbles that makes up what If Found looks like, and the way that you erase the scenery and you have the backgrounds underneath, and like, just, you know, the way that is put together, like, I purely just from a game designer perspective, I'd love to know how that was made in Unity and how they put that together. And it just has so much heart and humanity represented in these fucking diary scribbles. And I really do think that If Found is there's nothing. It's, you know, it's why I went with Cuphead. Like, you know, there's nothing that looks like it, and it just, yeah. And like, even the space bits as well, and how, you know, it will contrast with the colors. And it just, I was playing it quite early in the morning, so the lights were quite dark, and I was just absorbed in this as much as I could be without, like, being in VR, I guess. It's, you know, it's the kind of game, like, I think I said that you can play it on iPhone, but it's a really thing that you need a big monitor, you need headphones on, and you just need to let that whole experience take you in. So I'm gonna go with Found.
Okay, so Jack jumped the gun and voted Ghost of Tsushima. Mark is going If Found. Barry.
Oh.
If Barry votes Last of Us, Dave gets the final say on this, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so oh god, because you'll notice in my impassioned plea, I was splitting the difference between the two PlayStation games.
Fanboy.
I don't really know, because there's such diversity in this category that even the two, you know, quote unquote, you know, technical limit pusher games are also so different. Oh god. And what's really fucking me up is that, like, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima on the PS5, and it's fucking incredible. It's like, it elevates the already, like, I would say everything I've said about Tsushima just about the PS4 game. Not at all a thing where you have to play it on PS5 to get the best out of it. It's not Cyberpunk. But that little cherry on top. Oh, I don't know. Oh man. You know what? To get down to brass tacks and be really arbitrary and just pick one, I think they're both visually stunning, but I'm going to go Tsushima just because of scale. The scale of what Tsushima is doing versus Last of Us floored. Because, like, there's certain, I was talking earlier about how great the side quests in Tsushima is. Like, when I'm having all these interesting conversations with these characters, I'm looking at Jin's facial animation, and I'm looking at it and going, this isn't Last of Us 2 level, but, like, it's not even that far off, and this is a gigantic open world game. Like, Tsushima is kind of a marvel. It's kind of a marvel that it is what it is at that scale. So I will go Tsushima.
Okay, I will go If Found to tie us at 2-2, and most assuredly, knowing which one of these will probably have done better in the poll, myself and Mark are getting fucked over on this one. But for the sake of entertainment, do we want to guess what won the poll for best looking
Last of Us 2
listeners?
I'm gonna say Origami King.
I'm gonna say Hades.
Yeah, Hades.
with
yeah.
44.4% of the vote. More than double any other. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Alright.
I'm not shocked. I mean,
In
look at
second
it.
place, Hades.
I mean,
Okay.
that's out to lunch.
In third place, Paper Mario.
That's more like it.
And in the final sword in the back of his beloved franchise, no one voted for The Last of Us.
Wow.
That is harsh. I mean,
Well,
that
I
thing
will
looks
say,
good.
as much as I agonized over it, I'm sure most people looked at it and said, well, both it and Ghost look great, but Ghost of Tsushima's like...
That was my logic.
It grabs your eye. I mean, it's a photo mode. It is the ultimate photo mode game because the game just throws perfect image after perfect image at you.
I will say I'm incredibly surprised that even If Found got a vote, and I'm pretty sure the majority of the people who've heard of that game are on this podcast.
Wow.
So that got a vote, and Last of Us didn't, which is the most surprising thing I've seen so far in the polls, and it makes me think there's going to be some wacky shit in part 2.
Hey, I think people don't like to vote for the brown games. I mean, that's been a thing for years, and I think that's fair. As much as I cut the hell of a promo on Last of Us, I think it's fair that people. I don't think that's people's bags in 2020 anymore.
Yeah, it was too harsh of a year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So best looking game, Ghost of Tsushima. Well won. Yay.
Hey.
I will
Definitely
I will
right.
play that next year.